Hello beautiful people, welcome to my channel. My name is Teresa and I am your cruise director on the Magical Mystery Tour. We've got something a little bit different today, and that is an all matte look. I've done it before, not very often, but the Natasha Denona mini eye sculpt palette has finally made its way to Australia. So we're going to play with this today, but before we do, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, ring the notification bell to be alerted to any new uploads, and if you like this video at the end, please give it a big thumbs up. Before I do my makeup, I just want to show you this. Can you see the redness on my face? It'll settle down, but it's blown out a bit with the lights. My face is really red at the moment. I've literally had one sip of wine. I have taken an antihistamine. I have this reaction sometimes. It's making its way down my neck. I'm going to go and do my face now before we get back to it. Today, we've been waiting for this to come into Australia. It is a 5-pan mini palette from Natasha called the Eye Sculpt palette. These are based on skin tones. It comes with, just as an FYI, if you have a look, it comes in this cardboard box with an eye look in there. But I've got that to try. I've also got a few palettes to compare it to. Now, immediately when I saw this, my first thought, and I'm not far wrong, is this is the e.l.f. I Love You a Latte Matte Quad. Now you don't have this super dark one, however, these are, as you can see, pretty close to what's going on in there with a slight variance. This is $40. This is currently on special at time of filming for $4, full price $7. So do with that what you will. So before even getting into creating a look, I wanted to do the swatch comparison between the e.l.f. and the Natasha to see if they came out as close as they looked in the pan. Now, I am hopeless at swatching. So what we have here is e.l.f. Natasha, e.l.f. Natasha, e.l.f. Natasha, e.l.f. Natasha, Natasha. There are tonality differences in that. The e.l.f. lighter shade is slightly warmer, as is the second shade. The third shade is slightly cool toned. There are subtle differences, but I don't know if it's enough to warrant it. So it will be an option for you if you like what I create today. Going in with the lighter shade first. Oh, I don't have my mirror up. Gosh. So if you want a basic palette that is good for travel, let's see if this is it. So I've just gone up the top there. I will be using that shade again after. Going in now to this to put through the crease. That essentially was up in the top just to lighten up underneath my brows and to sort of set down my base. So this here, this would be good in that you can do, well, you could set up here with a translucent powder, for example, right? Or just the one in here. And if you just want the littlest hint of colour, then go with something like this. Going into that off-white now, I'm going to start. We will put it straight across our mobile lid. And lighten up there. Same on this side. And so you're essentially creating a very light look with that there. And that's all you need, a bit of mascara, and you would be good to go. Yeah, see, it's that easy, but we don't finish there. And look, well, we haven't finished, look, have we? Because I'm going in with that same shade underneath the eyes. So it's a super, super subtle look. Now we want to increase the depth in that, because if you're like me, this is sort of just an off-duty look. But what I'm doing is showing you what you can do with it. Going into that middle shade now, we'll give it a bit of depth. Okay. Been waiting for this to come because I've been joking about what palette am I going to take with me on my next trip away. And I know what I want to do. And I'm thinking it's going to be possibly this with the teresamadelyne. So we're still keeping that lid pretty light. Just going in with that, what was the second shade that we just used in our transition, and just bringing that up higher at this point. So we've got that gradient happening. But it's still not too intense. You're still keeping that eye space open. It's blending beautifully. They are the traditional Natasha formula, I think. I haven't been, if I know I'm going to get a palette to review, I don't really, like, I knew this was going to come to Australia. I knew it was going to take time. So I didn't really watch anything on it. And I really want to watch Angela Bright because I know that she did something on it, but I haven't watched any of them. So just go back and blend. And so again, you have got this happening. And once more, we'll go into that mid shade and just see how we've got a little bit more intense under the eye now. But essentially, I've had a couple of looks happen there. So now let's start to build up some colour. We're going to go in deeper. So I'm going into that dark brown now. And we're going to tap that in the outer corner. And just bring that up. Looking straight ahead if you have hooded eyes. So that's just bringing it up on the outer corner here. Sorry if you can hear my husband sniffing away out there. Sometimes I don't think he realises how loud his snuffleupagus. So, I daren't tell him. I think he'd be mortified. So, we have, what we'll do now is really go in with that in the inner corner. But we're going to add that second lightest one now across the lid, just so that we've got an actual wash of colour happening. You can see where that cool tone's starting to come out there. When I said the elf was a bit more yellow, this is definitely cooler toned or more neutral leaning. Clean that brush off, back into the lighter shade. And then just diffusing that blend there. Right? So, what do we do now? So now we can add a little bit of depth. And I'm just doing it with this for now. Clean brush, I've gone in, that was the darkest brown there. And just diffusing that out. Going into the middle shade there and pulling that. I've literally only gone on the outer corners because we are about to go dark. Okay, we are going in hard now. I have used a black in my waterline and I've also tight lined. So, we are going to go in with that black under the eyes. Let's get out our inner rock chick. And get it as close to your waterline as you can. Which is not what I did just then. Okay, and then going in up here. See, going in as an eyeliner close on my top. I will eventually get around to putting mascara on, but there was no point in doing that while I'm doing these, because what would happen is I didn't want to have to take my makeup off and clean it off in between. And this is how I would use it. I would just build up in any case, so I can show you that. Now, if you've got extremely hooded eyes like me, do not attempt to do a wing in the normal manner. No matter what anyone tells you, it is just not that simple. It just really isn't. My hoods hang down over the end of my eyes, so going up at an angle is just not feasible. Going more out horizontally is the better option when you have eyes that are as hooded as mine. Now, to work underneath the eye, we are going into the darkest of the browns. Tap that right off and really have it at the angle. Don't go in too hard like that. Go in at the angle and just work back and forth. Really smoking that out. scrungy with it. So that's how we're looking there. But we're not done yet. Lastly, go into that black. Have I just scared you? And this is a round fat dense brush. See, we're just packing it there, right? Going into that dark brown now and bringing that across to intensify. Cleaning off that brush now. And now that I've cleaned it off, you'll see I go in like that, and then once I clean it off and I start to blend, I drop my hand right down to the end, and the teacup hold really comes in. That's when I start to tickle it. So I'm pulling that in. I'm looking straight ahead into a mirror and pulling that in so I can see what I'm doing. And all the while I'm doing this, don't be afraid to go back and clean off that brush again. Just a microfiber cloth is next to me on the table. Just from your cleaning aisle at the supermarket or from Bunnings even. Now here we can tap back into that again. Instead of working that black up, we're leaving the intensity of that black there and then letting the brown become the blend as opposed to trying to blend the black out. It's where a lot of people get into a bit of trouble. Use the brown because we're doing a gradient out that way. Just packing that a little bit more on that corner there. Back into this, and there we go. That's what I wanted. You see how sharp that is there with the black, and then as we start, the brown is the blend, not the black. Just remember that. You don't need to take your black up too high. It is always about using the other shades to blend. I've got a little bit of fallout with this. Is to be expected with the amount of shades that I've gone into and layers that I've done. So back into that mid shade now. And lastly, going back into that paler shade and just using that to lighten up a little bit further up the center, just because of how dark we've got it now. Just at that crease point. So that's where we're looking at. It's become quite intense. What I'm going to go and do is the rest of my makeup, put some mascara on, and I'll be right back. So this is the final look when we've gone intense. But you saw we went through various stages. Any one of those looks that we got to could have put mascara on and be done. But it just showed you that, what did we do? 1, 2, we probably did about 5 different looks through the stages with that, with this little palette. And that's the whole plan. You want to be able to get, ideally, at least the amount of looks out of how many pans there are in there. Now, comparison, this blended beautifully, I will say. It is great Natasha formula. They are soft. They're comparing to a couple of the palettes that I pulled out. The Mario palettes. This palette sort of, obviously is smaller, it's a lot more compact. The Mario palettes are $84. each, which are the Master Mattes. I'm trying to... This palette sits somewhere in between. It's more neutral. So obviously this is a warmer tone palette. This is more cool tone. This lies really neutral in that it sits in between. Comparing it to the Patrick Tar palette, look, it has a row of warms and a row of cool tones. This sits more up in the warm. This sits more in the cool. This sits somewhere between these two. This sort of sits around up here. So it's a mixture of them. It leans more in the middle. I mean, anyone will tell you, you probably don't need that many in that shade. You probably don't need that many of the Mario. Well, we do love them. I actually prefer, my biggest gripe with this is I prefer the feel of the mattes in his ethereal palettes. I think they're a better quality. This is better than this one, quality wise. I find these super blendable. I prefer the quality in the Patrick over those Mario matte ones. This is great for $7, full price, currently for. Do I think anyone needs this? If you've got even a decent sized brown palette with a heap of mattes in it, and let's face it, they all have mattes, you probably don't. This is not something you need to rush out and get, but she has jumped on the bandwagon that both Makeup by Mario and Patrick Tar have done, in that she's creating something that is based on skin tones. It is a really nice palette, and what you can do is grab a shimmer and pop it on. Grab an individual shimmer, like I've got a heap here. You can see we've blended out the gradient really nice. Now, what I'm about to do is pull out one of my, I might regret this, this is just Twinkle by Give by Gwen Stefani. Like, look at that. Let's just, I mean, see that twinkle? I love this particular product. Keep an eye out for a video where I'm playing in single shimmers soon, but you can do that. You can add the sparkle if you need it. So that takes you into another thing. I've got a heap of different shimmers here. You can dab Space Cowboy over the top. You can dab Steeler Heaven's Hue over the top. If you want a little sparkle, it'll get you everything that you need in that little palette. I think it's a little banger for $40, you know. But I have loved that up until this point at $7. So I guess it's down to your budget and your preferences. I like having the black in there, but again, if you've got palettes that have the black in it, but if you just want to take one little neutral palette away with you and then some shimmer, this allows you to have the depth. So normally I would take away something like the mini Xenon that has a black in it, whereas I won't have to do that with this. Come on. I do like. Till I play with it a bit more, it'll be interesting. I think that I can see this becoming a staple in my daily when I don't want to do too much, when I don't want to have to think about something, and I'll probably just stick in like those three for an easy weekend look. That is it. We've had a new Natasha in amongst all of our Natasha month. We are nearly at the end of this. Looking forward to it. The only thing that I've got to do now is come up with where everything's going to place. So until then, until next time, my friends, we've got a bit coming up this week. Don't forget to keep an eye out on Wednesday. It's the first birthday of the channel, and it's my birthday. So don't forget to tell your mum, tell your sister, tell your friends. Come along, hang out, subscribe, have a play. What's your favourite matte neutral and why? I will see you next time. Take care. Bye.